Most people living with anxiety have a painfully sad, humiliating, or traumatic experience that results in fear. And for others, it could be set off by a seemingly small event that ripples into this tidal wave of doom. Either way, the process of anxiety is largely unclear, so I'm going to break it down for you. Hi, my name is Lorraine Wise, and I am a certified professional life coach that empowers people living with anxiety to achieve their life of Zen. And today I'm going to be talking about what's up with anxiety. So let's get into it. Let's go to the beginning stage of baby anxiety. You have a bad experience. You know it's bad because you resist it. And maybe it hasn't even happened yet, but you think it will. And that big, beautiful brain of yours has told you it most definitely will, which makes you recoil with nervousness. So, you feel that first inkling of fear, which I like to call anxiety at first fright, right? We all know it. We've all had this offset of anxiety after first fright. I know I have, which spiraled into several months of multiple anxiety and panic attacks every day for those several months. And let me tell you, it completely took over my life. Did I want to feel the fear? No. Do you want to feel the fear? Heck, no. It wouldn't be so powerful if it weren't terrifying. Now, terror, speaking of terror, and worry are two of fear's best friends. They like to buddy up, swoop in, and stimulate you in all the wrong ways. And it's uncomfortable, right? It's uncomfortable, and because you don't want to feel their presence, you make a run for it. You're looking for the quickest escape, and that voice in your head is screaming, "I'm an anxious wreck, get me out of here." Now, the quickest escape, which most of us are probably, I'm going to say most of us, I know all of us have been familiar with, the quickest escape is avoidance. Avoidance can be useful for many situations that don't warrant a response, where actions may put us in direct line with danger or expose us to the threat of potential harm. But it is not the solution for escaping anxiety, because avoidance is the answer anxiety loves to hear. Anxiety is not the danger itself. Anxiety is the feeling that comes from the idea of danger. Is there a real threat? Perhaps not. If there isn't, then avoidance is like fuel for anxiety. It eats it up and it combusts until it's so big that it's in the way of everything, because it's the only thing you can see, right? It has this opposite effect, unlike tunnel vision, which a lot of people with depression experience. They have tunnel vision. You still have this lack of focus, but in the sense of anxiety, you're so close to it, you're so in it, that it just blocks everything else. It's this huge mountain, this tidal wave of doom right in front of you, and you have nowhere else to go. Now, there's this message I want you guys to hear, and it was really detrimental to my own journey in going from anxious to Zen, and it was such a huge learning point that I really want you to pay attention. Never allowing yourself to see a triggering experience through, never allowing yourself to feel the humiliation and the sadness, never allowing yourself to accept that trauma is with you, only leaves you in a time capsule of fear. Okay? We call that denial. Imagine picking up a book, right? With a story like something out of a fairy tale. There's a character, and they're on this quest. They have this mission to fulfill, but in order to succeed, some things along the way must be done. They have to complete them in order for them to move forward. These are called action steps. They're tasks, right? Now, when something does come up and they have to move through it, the story doesn't skip ahead to the end. It doesn't skip ahead to the end just because they're fearful, just because they're worried, just because they're terrified, humiliated, ashamed. The character might have that type of trait, avoidance, but the story has to continue. Therefore, they still have to go through these tasks in order to get to the end. Now, when something does come up, right, they've got to move through it, and they need to complete an action step, this task. And if they did skip these, it just wouldn't make any bloody sense. You'd be pulled back to the gap, that point in the story where you abandoned necessary information. It's the proof, it's the validation of why things will succeed. It's the setup, and you need it. It not only builds character, but it's a part of the journey. It's a part of the story. It's a part of the process that is so necessary in order to complete. Now, you could put the book down, you could ignore the story's end entirely, but again, you would be left with the knowledge that you have abandoned the journey, and you're accepting that you will never have closure in how it turned out. We are the characters in our own story, and when we deny certain plots to play out, when we avoid action steps and tasks or exposure to things that stress us out and bring shame, fear, nervousness, and all things terror, negative things, we're telling ourselves that we cannot move forward. We're denying ourselves the permission to move forward. So, you see, the only way forward is through. We have to give ourselves permission to expose ourselves to being vulnerable. You hearing the message? We have to give ourselves permission to expose ourselves to being vulnerable. We have to learn to become comfortable with the discomfort of fear and worry. As much as we are comfortable experiencing things that are enjoyable, that brings fulfillment, peace, calm, happiness, all of the positive things. That's how we find balance in our life. We can't be good at one thing and completely disregard the duality, the other scope, the other side of it. If we're good at enjoying the positive aspects, then we have to be okay with the negative stuff too. I wish I knew that way back when I was going through it, that it's okay to feel what I was feeling, that it was okay for me to be scared, because that denial and that avoidance really just dragged the whole healing process so much longer than it should have been. It really was so much longer than it should have been. So I'm really glad, even though I went through how many years of prolonged anxiety, I'm really glad that I have learned this and that I'm able to share that with you today. So I want you to know that it's okay to acknowledge the negative stuff. It's very much a part of you. And the consequences of not learning to navigate negative experiences and emotions can be debilitating. That's why avoidance drives anxiety to continue. Okay, that's why avoidance drives anxiety to continue. That's how anxiety becomes this cycle. So, if there's a takeaway that I have for you today, it's this: stop avoiding discomfort. You are allowed to feel scared. You're allowed to feel uncomfortable, ashamed, embarrassed, humiliated, sad. You're allowed to feel negative emotions. The thing you have to wrap your head around is that negative emotions aren't supposed to feel good. So be okay with not feeling good from time to time. It's not forever. Emotions fluctuate, they're temporary, and when we're done with one, we're on to the next. So it might feel like this fear is never ending. But if you go through it, you acknowledge it, it will pass. There's so much power in your emotions. So much. They have the potential to dictate the way you experience life. They have the potential to dictate the way you perceive and how you behave. Good or bad, at the end of the day, they're yours. So stop avoiding them or they will own you. Okay? Start owning them and watch the anxiety slip away. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that helps. And if you can think of anyone that can benefit from hearing this message, please share it along with all of those people that need to hear this, that it's okay to be uncomfortable, that it's okay to have these negative emotions and experiences. It's very much a part of life. Now, it is my goal to help all of the people that are living with anxiety so that they can achieve, and not just achieve, but continue and maintain this life of Zen, because let me tell you, it is beautiful on the other side. So please help me make that happen. Thank you very much once again. My name is Lorraine Wise and I am a certified professional life coach that helps empower people who are living with anxiety achieve a life of Zen.